It's a high-stakes Easter Sunday in the Isuzu Ute A-League as the scramble for a place inside the top six heats up. Wellington must keep their winning run rolling if they want to keep pace in the finals race, while Victory look to move one step closer to securing a home final. There's some big names in the house, and the Wellington fans have travelled a long way to be here at Amy Park. Good afternoon and welcome to Wurundjeri country in Melbourne. Victory hosting the Phoenix, and this is what it's all for. Victory looking to secure their spot in the six and push for a home final. Wellington, well, they just want to be part of the finals after missing out last year, and of course they were knocked out by Victory the year before in the semi-finals. But after back-to-back wins, belief is building in Wellington. But if they are to make it 3 straight wins, they will have to overcome the tide of history. They have not won here at Amy Park in 25 A-League matches, dating back to April 2017. But who was in the dugout that afternoon? Chris Greenacre alongside Des Buckingham. Maybe an omen for the Phoenix. But standing in their way, a Victory side firing, back-to-back 4-1 wins, and the smell of finals in the air. They know one more win and they will all but secure a top 6 spot and a step closer to a home final. So will it be Wellington to keep their finals dream alive, or will Victory tighten their grip on a home final?
And the land is dark and the moon is the only light.
2 changes for Victory after their 4-1 win over the Mariners. Nikos Virgos scored a hat-trick in Victory's 5-1 win in December against Wellington. He returns to the starting side with Nduka benched. Jelassic is also back in the 11 at the expense of Brazilian Santos. Former Wellington men Piscopo and Duncan are on the bench for Victory. Well, he loves playing against Wellington. He's got a big smile on his face, and you know why. He scored 5 in 5 against Wellington, and they have taken up a fair chunk of his return in the A-League. 13 A-League goals, almost half of them coming against Wellington. 1 change for Chris Greenacre's Wellington after their win over Brisbane. Tim Payne has a tight hamstring after international duty, so Matt Sheridan comes in at right fullback. Alex Rufer and Bill Tuiloma also return after they were in the all-white squad during the international break. Well, many wondered how his form would hold up in the A-League. He scored 15 goals with Al-Khak in Iraq last season. Well, it stood up well and truly. Finese with 9 goals. It's an all-New Zealand team battle there at the top in the Golden Boot race. Randall, Cosgrove, Eze. Can he go to the top with Sam Cosgrove? Arthur Dillis looking to return Victory to the finals, as he did in his first season as head coach last year after taking over from Patrick Kisnorbo. Took them all the way to the grand final against Melbourne City. There was pressure on him at the start of the season, but probably unfair after what he achieved last year, and he's certainly showing what he can do as a head coach this season. There's the Wellington interim boss for the 4th time, Chris Greenacre. He was on the sideline last time they won here back in 2017. Alongside Des Buckingham. Nathan Shakespeare in charge for the 10th time of an A-League men's match. Owen Goldrick and James Sherry the assistants. Jack Morgan the 4th official. Kate Jackowitz and Casey Rybelt in the VAR centre. Well, the suspense builds. Eze, no doubt, a key for Wellington. Scored the winner against Brisbane 2 weeks ago when they have needed someone to stand up in those important moments. So often it has been. You find Eze.
Down to kick off your boys in blue, Wellington Phoenix, in 4, 3, 2, 1.
So Easter Sunday football underway. Wellington hunting their first win at Amy Park since 2017. Victory looking to cement a top 6 spot. And Eric Partaloo, it is a perfect day in Melbourne for what is a really high stakes encounter. And we'll just see how do Wellington start. Eze wins a corner.
Well, happy Easter to all who celebrate. It's been a fantastic weekend of A-League action once again in this business end of the season. And Melbourne victory will mean business here today. But again, for Wellington, it's that man. We find Eze starting the game off the way that he plays. It's going forward, it's direct, and their form has been reasonably solid under Chris Greenacre, but they'll need to find that consistency to get themselves into that 6.
Best set-piece side in the league, and Piper, he was sniffing it. Wojciechowski with a strong take. So the pressure builds on everyone at this time of the season. He's been a goal threat for them under Greenacre. He's scored in back-to-back matches, Corbin Piper, and you can see those last 3 under Greenacre, or the last 4 I should say. 1-0 defeat to Sydney, a draw with Adelaide, and then back-to-back wins. And defensively, just that 1 goal conceded in the last 2 for Wellington, but for victory, unbeaten in 7.
They are the informed team of this competition, Melbourne Victory, and the way that the results have gone over the weekend and the teams that they still need to play in their remaining games has really opened the door for a late tilt at the Premier's plate. After today, they've got to play Auckland. Then it's the Newcastle Jets, and to finish, the current Wooden Spooners, Western Sydney Wanderers. So there's a real belief around Melbourne. This could be a chance to go and win silverware.
They win their last 4. They end up on 47 points. The Jets currently on 43. So well and truly they're in the fight. It's a tough run home, but as you said, Eric, they are in great form at the moment. They will believe they could beat anyone, and they've got Newcastle at home, Western Sydney away, but we know Western Sydney at the moment, they just look rudderless. And Auckland next week away, they will be relishing that clash. Remember, when it was high stakes last year, they went over and did the business against the Black Knights. And that pass left a little short. Piper pounces on it. Nagasawa searching for Najjarine. Rufa came across on Mata. Didn't make an imprint in the end. And the Spaniard with 13 assists this season. It's been a remarkable year now at Jean Rowe, and just couldn't measure it as well.
And that's the hard thing about trying to get close to a certain one. Mata, Alex Rufa, really good in that position, thought, I'm going to get to this. He's taken a bad touch, and all of a sudden the Spaniard spun his way out of the midfield. He started off really well here.
So victory 3-2 winners in Wellington back in February. Esposito, Valupale, Dorigo, the goal scorers. Dorigo back from injury on the bench today. Armiento scoring for the Knicks, as well as an own goal from Miranda. And then back in December, 5-1. It was a thumping win during that Christmas period, and Virgos scored a hat-trick.
The other thing I'd like to add as well from a Melbourne Victory perspective, when we talk about the form that they're in and playing good football, getting results. Have you seen their bench today? Just incredible, the players they have available coming back.
Yeah, it's a danger for any side, as there's a problem here. Big problem for Melbourne Victory. Nathan Shakespeare just explaining that it's a head injury, and that's why play has to be stopped. Wellington players are not happy at all.
Yeah, did not look comfortable for Esposito. And well, we've seen this already this weekend where the eyes look a bit glazed over. Watch this, it's not going to be pretty.
It's another sickening one. Yeah, you can see the way that his neck twisted as he hit the ground.
Well, it's good refereeing because he stopped it immediately, because it looked awkward, and it is more than a head knock.
Yeah, it's clearly a head knock, and that's exactly why this rule is in play. 100%. I know there's some debate about it, and there will be as we move forward about potentially the opportunities that some teams have to take advantage of it, but this is exactly why the rule has been put in play, because play had to be stopped. He needed immediate assistance, Esposito, and based on that reaction, I'm wondering whether he will continue here or whether Victory will go to that bench you spoke about, Eric.
Well, he's got Jason Davidson. I'm sure he's already gone to warm up, but you just don't know. And this is the issue we have as we see the Melbourne Victory bench. Lots of talent on there. There's Jason Davidson with Massimo Madoka.
Based on that, maybe they will make a change. So just having a look, you would probably expect Davidson to come in to the centre of defence if Esposito is forced off. He's in the arms of the fourth official, so it looks as though he will continue. Well, he didn't look healthy when his head first hit the ground. It's a debate which has raged across the weekend and may well continue into the week. Whether there is the need for someone independent to decide whether players should continue. It's not just a debate for the A-League, it's a debate for the game across the globe. As Miranda has his pocket pinched by Piper. Nagasawa. Back to Nagasawa. Herzant was a heavy touch first time. Now he digs it in. And Esposito, the man at the centre of the drama a moment ago, comes up big for Victory.
Yeah, really strong work again from Piper. He's been so crucial in that position. And a lovely layoff for Eze, who does the right thing. It just tried to dink it over Wachowski back into traffic. And it's a good sign for Seb Esposito getting on the end of that one.
Good start this from Wellington. Really good start. Nagasawa, great delivery. Piper again. He almost had goals in 3 straight. Corbin Piper, what a chance.
Just an absolute animal and a big handful. I just thought there, the ball swung in there from Nagasawa. Did so well to get in there, but again, it's big Virgos. Arms all around the back of the neck, and he still managed to get something away.
Well, that is incredible that Piper has got that kind of quality of a shot off, because the grappling in the box there from Virgos, and I think Wellington fans quite rightly could ask the question, why is there not anything further to come of that? But unfortunately, it's the way it's officiated at the moment. There you go, Piper, on that occasion it was Miranda all over him in the back, and that corner of yellow, come back to that as another cross towards Piper, now Sheridan. I just wanted to say that the corner of yellow, there was massive support in Adelaide on Friday for Wellington's A-League women's team, made the finals for the first time in their history. And I dare say a number of them have come across to Melbourne for this one. It's great to see the support. Look at this. They're packing out the away bay, the Knicks fans.
It's awesome to see.
You wouldn't think they haven't won here since 2017. Maybe today is the day. 25 matches in the A-League here since they have won in the Isuzu Ute A-League. And they've got 2 matches here in a week, because they've got Melbourne City coming up April 12, as Wellington earn themselves another free kick. So Victory coming here with back-to-back 4-1 wins, but Wellington aren't worried about that.
They've made a really positive start, and it's all about being aggressive and being on the front foot. and asking Melbourne Victory a question in their own half. They haven't allowed them to settle or get their foot on the ball, something that they've done really well under Chris Greenacre. And they've got players up the top there just fighting for every single ball. Piper is the main man for that.
And it's a good combination up top, isn't it? The Piper-Eze combination for Wellington. You've got the hustle and the bustle, physicality of Piper. I'm not saying Eze isn't physical, but just that extra toe as well of the Nigerian with speed, as we saw last week, 2 weeks ago I should say, scoring that winner for Chris Greenacre against Brisbane Roar. Piper looking for the flick on, quite angle it towards Eze. Again, Piper, how often you're winning those headers. You can understand why Wellington's so damaging from set pieces this season. They've scored 14 times, 8 from corners, 4 free kicks, 2 penalties. So any kind of set piece, Wellington have a lot of confidence around that part of their game.
Well, you can just see now it's Miranda trying to come to terms with what Corbin Piper is throwing around there. But you're right, that combination with Eze running off Corbin Piper and just getting the ball into that central zone is causing a big problem for Melbourne Victory at the moment.
So Victory, only their second time in this match so far, they're able to have possession down this end of Amy Park. Dan Edwards, he's got his fan club here. The former Avondale man, now at Wellington. Used to work here in Melbourne in freight forwarding when he was at Avondale. So a homecoming for him of sorts. He's, of course, from New Zealand. Jelassic, Rawlins. Mata with that left boot as they're getting back to perform his defensive responsibilities. It means that it's left to Piper for the lone hand up front. And a slip. Oh, that's an awkward one for Mata. He grabs an elbow. They don't need that. Here is a chance for Wellington. Now, what's happened here? Offside, but Mata, he slipped there and fell awkwardly.
Yeah, it didn't look pretty for Juan Mata. Just before that, trying to track back. There's the offside decision. They've been really potent getting forward quickly. And from midfield, it's Paulo Retro, who's played every game under Chris Greenacre. He'll need to keep on top of a certain Juan Mata this afternoon.
It's just he slipped, and as he went to put his hands down, I just wonder whether he hyperextended the elbow maybe. It's just one of those ones that just make you feel a little bit uncomfortable, and maybe even a player of his quality and experience, just enough to throw him off. So Valuplay, look at Mata, that left arm just dangling by his side. Valuplay, crucial win after coming back from international duty. The Socceroos, Jelassic just pulled it wide. Under the cosh for most of the opening 14 minutes, but a good chance there.
Yeah, it's when he's most dangerous, Juan Mata, when you're not expecting him to be at his best. Keegan Jelassic has got the opportunity this afternoon to show what he can do. He's been really handy this season, a really strong A-League campaign for him, probably his strongest, in fact. And wearing the Melbourne Victory shirt as you know, carries great weight, and I think that Jelassic has really handled that superbly.
Well, the statistics back you up as well, Eric, because he scored 5 times, and that's his best output in an A-League season for the Queensland junior. And again, Wellington flowing forward. Piper has Eze in the middle, so too Nazarene, who scored here against Victory earlier in the season. Rufer, Edwards, nice pass, Nazarene. Nazarene blocked maybe by his teammate there in Nagasawa. It's funny what happens when you've scored at a venue against a team before. Just that extra level of belief that can result from it. Of goals this season for Ami Nazarene. His best goal scoring season as well. No, it's not a whole lot, but got to start somewhere. It's been solid for Wellington Phoenix this season.
Yeah, he certainly divides opinion, but this year he got that goal here at Amy Park after that mistake from Davidson, if I'm not wrong. Well, Oluwayemi there, I was thinking that ball might have just scraped over the top of him, but he saw the judge and the flight of that ball. But that consistency now, you can see even in their play this afternoon, they've come here to play. And I dare say that record would have been floated about before the start of this game, and it's time. It's time for Wellington Phoenix to turn that around. And they've made a good start here.
Well, Tim Payne was asked about it during the week, and said we're not quite sure why, but we know that Melbourne Victory, obviously one of the heavyweights in the A-League, they always have a really good, strong support behind them. But then Tim Payne, he didn't come over. Didn't jump on the flight. He's got a tight hamstring, so wish you all the best, Tim. And on that journey, of course, hopefully selection for the World Cup this year. What a cherry on top that would be.
Gee, what a couple of players have come back from that international break with New Zealand with knocks and injuries, haven't they? There must have been a lot of output.
Yeah, DeVries with a calf injury for Auckland. So we just see Nagasawa all over Jelassic.
People ask, what does Nagasawa add to this side for Chris Greenacre? He started every single game for the Wellington Phoenix this year. He's combative. You get to the point though with his game when you want to see a little bit more in that final third. You do, but it's those little moments that you don't pick up, or you know, the naked eye doesn't see as often as the passes and the finishes. It's all of this type of stuff.
Well, you don't win an AFC Champions League without being a quality player. As part of that Urawa side back in 2017, who beat Al Hilal to play the AFC Champions League. So Wellington, 63% possession to start this game. So you might not have expected that through the opening 18 minutes. Another turnover from Victory. Well, if they thought it was going to be an easy task, it's not proving that way. Wellington, you just feel like that first goal is so crucial, more so for the Knicks. Now, Esposito's down again.
That's the head knock.
Yeah, is he getting blurred vision? I wonder whether he is here. He's saying, oh, I'm done here. And this is exactly what we're talking about with the Guillermo Mai incident. It's not the immediate aftermath, as in the minutes after. Sometimes they can get up and keep playing.
Watch the eyes.
You can see there. You can see there that he wasn't healthy. It's the 10-15 minutes after. And that's why there needs to be some kind of an independent doctor to make that assessment, Eric.
I 100% agree with you, Benny, and like we spoke about this off air, it's the next head knock What happens if he goes and gets another one? We don't know the impact of that one. And you can tell he's got a headache. His brain is probably swelling inside of his skull. That's exactly what's happening.
Well, we're going to head downstairs to Tim Morgan. Tim, what have you picked up on the sideline?
Yeah, Jason Davidson certainly getting ready to make that substitution there for Esposito. The other issue for Melbourne Victory is Juan Mata. He's still struggling with that elbow injury. He's moving around. He hasn't got any attention for the doctor, but he just keeps playing with that left elbow. You can see even right now in the huddle, he's just continuing to stretch it out, and it's a bit almost like he's running around with like a little bit of a dead arm. He just can't use it the same way. Now, he seems intent on soldiering on, isn't getting treatment on it, but it certainly is something that's troubling him.
Thanks, Tim. Yeah, most certainly is. And this is a really sorry sight. Seb Esposito being helped off with the doctor. And let's hope he's okay, but he most certainly is struggling after that really awkward tumble and the impact on his head in the opening minutes of this match. And the conversation will continue. It's been a theme across the weekend.
Substitution taken for Melbourne Victory. Getting onto the pitch.
So it is a concussion substitution, so they don't lose any windows. Melbourne Victory. So Esposito withdrawn. It's a huge loss for them. He's been a cornerstone for them this season. 20 starts this year in his 22nd appearance. So Jason Davidson comes on. Just having a look how will shake out from a structuring perspective, and he's just slotting in there at centre back. I've seen him play, of course, as a left back, but he's going to have to play in the centre of defence here this afternoon. But a lovely turn for Lupalay, and that time it's to Iloma.
They're completely blocking off the midfield, Wellington Phoenix, and that's why they're funneled to go outside. But only one Mata could have found the space and the time, and they had three players, and that little overload possibility to Iloma. With a big header, they've got to defend this set piece.
So Oluwayemi had a nervous moment against Brisbane 2 weeks ago. And that's a confidence-boosting grab for him there. To be fair, Victory would have liked to test him out a little more. Valadon under the pressure of Ezer. Oh, well, Valadon's in trouble here. Maybe not. Maybe it's just a foul. No, Shakespeare, does he go to his pocket? It seems not.
Very difficult one, because he's been entrusted to stay at the back for the fast counter-attack, and he got himself in the way, and then it was almost a push to get him out the way. So maybe the referee felt as though there was a little bit on both sides there, and there was a covering defender coming across, if that's where you were going with that, Benny.
On Friday night at Adelaide, that would have been a yellow card for sure. Well, there were 8 Auckland players who got yellow cards. I think Steve Corica would agree. So, Wellington free kick. Left for Nazarene. Strikes the wall, but they get the second best prize, and that is a corner kick, especially when you look at Wellington's set-piece record this season and what we saw earlier in the game where Piper very nearly scored the opening goal. So Piper's in the middle of that scrum. I don't know if there's any other word you can use to describe that. Pack of players pushing against each other here. It's almost like Wellington are trying to protect Piper. So Nagasawa, and it's behind to Iloma. And it all amounts to nothing.
It is so important, this first goal, Ben, because both sides, when they've scored first, haven't gone on to lose the game. And whilst Melbourne Victory just need to solidify their spot inside of this top 6. If they win, they can really throw a cat amongst the pigeons. Wellington Phoenix, they really need those 3 points, and the fans have come all this way. 2 games in Melbourne in the space of a week, and their journey is still on.
Tray. Hughes, who's hooking it to Rawlins. Coming again from Piper as Davidson just slips to Loma and Sheridan. Piper again. So that battle all of a sudden, especially Davidson, not quite the same height, physical presence as Esposito. Does it move to advantage Wellington in that department? I know Miranda obviously has that height advantage, but Piper v Davidson, he'll be enjoying that little battle more, because previously it was Miranda on Piper. He's shifted across to the right side centre back with Esposito leaving the field.
They're really commanding this game, Wellington Phoenix, knocking the ball around nicely and not allowing Melbourne Victory's dangerous players to get the ball through the middle. That's the most important thing. And what is it, 27 minutes in, Nikos Virgos has had 1 touch. And I think there's a little bit of a stigma there from the side to look very direct, thinking that he'll do the same job as Nduka. And they are similar players in that respect, where they can run in behind, but I think it gives you a little bit more Charles Nduka running onto things rather than Virgos.
Loma. And no whistle, but it spills out for Rattray. Another corner for Wellington. And what's fascinating here is Victory have piled on the goals twice this season against Wellington. But this is a different Wellington side. New coach, new structure, the focus, whether you like it or not, the change in style. What is clear is they are more defensively focused, and that is frustrating Victory. They would much prefer playing a Wellington side that is a little bit more attacking, more open at the back, want to take more risk. But today, that's not what they've got in front of them. And you wonder how they're going to deal with that. So they've been under the pump here. Nagasawa, it's Rufer arriving at the back post. It stays in. Wachowski is tested. And Mata has to roll it away. Now it's Balladen. So Victory on the counter-attack. If you had have said that, Eric, coming into this game, I would have been surprised.
Well, that's now the challenge for Melbourne Victory, is that how do they get the ball back, firstly, and then how do they switch into attack in a quick way? And what I mean by that is maybe instead of the way that they've been playing all season, which is playing through and looking for that one over the top, they've got to play on the counter, because Wellington are opening themselves up here. Valupale, Virgos, Jelassic, they need to get them on the ball.
Sheridan's pass. It's Virgos. For a minute it looked as though it may spill for Valupale. Oluwayemi searching for the target of Piper. Wellington, these 2 matches away from home, Victory and City. Then they've got Western Sydney Wanderers in New Zealand, and then MacArthur away from home in the final round. By no means an easy task. That Western Sydney Wanderers match, if they could find a way to maybe snatch 4 points out of these 2 matches in Melbourne, you sense they'll be happy with that. As Victory threatened to break, Burgos just couldn't rein it in at the key moment. Lino, Mata, and diving in Nazarene. Defensive responsibility from Rami Nazarene. Not often been a massive part of his game, but that is a key moment. Now it's Eze in front of Piper on the stretch. He just couldn't get there.
Well, they've definitely had their wheat bix this morning. Unbelievable effort, and it comes down to that mentality. And when you have a new coach come in, yeah, you can do all the tactics that you like and training sessions differently and maybe even change the formation, but it comes down to mentality. And you can see right now that Wellington Phoenix are a different beast.
Well, Chris Greenacre, he wants the head coaching role. There's no doubt about that. And I'm told he had Paul Eiffel in this week. Thanks to Jason Pine for giving me that little nugget of wisdom. Paul Eiffel, who potentially, if Chris Greenacre takes on the role next season, could come in to the coaching staff. What a mind to work with. Those two close from their days, of course, playing together at Wellington Phoenix. In his 4th stint as interim boss, he's done an impressive job the 3 previous times. And he's got 2 wins and a draw from 4 matches in charge this time around.
And they're playing some really good football. This time it's Eze out wide, trying to provide for Corbin Piper inside that 6-yard box. These are really dangerous entry points that they're finding themselves in at the moment. Melbourne Victory have got to get their act together, that's for sure. And to touch on the Chris Greenacre thing as well, Ben, why not? He's been there, it's his 4th time as interim boss. It's about time that, you know, he gets his opportunity, and if they make the finals, you've got to look at that as being a massive success.
Well, even if they get close and maybe just miss out, you feel like you'll be banging on that door. This is an impressive start. They have to find a goal, though. If they don't, we know the quality that Melbourne Victory have. They can punish them from anywhere. Tuiloma floating it again in the direction of Eze. Another corner, but the flag's up for offside. So they will not get another chance from a set piece. That's the last 10 minutes, Eric. I thought the 63-30 at about the 20-minute mark, I thought, well, it'll probably contract a little and get closer to the 50-50. Well, it's gone the other way.
Well, I don't think that Melbourne Victory are expecting this sort of press, and also this is the option they're looking for too often. Just going from back to front, that must have been a definite ploy before the start of the game.
Oh, what's happened here? What has happened here? Nazarene has gone sprawling to the ground. This has happened off the ball. Jean Rowe, we saw the red mist descend for him earlier in the season. What happened here?
Well, it's Paulo Retro there. It's just that loose touch, and John Rowe going in. Well, it is high enough to warrant a yellow card. I'm not sure, because of the way he's gone in there. It's a block tackle. He hasn't gone in there and lunged into it. If Hiroki Sakai is just getting a yellow card this weekend, Denny John Rowe's getting one.
Is that the bar, is it? Goes studs on down someone's shin. Nothing doing. Oh, yellow card, sorry. But to be fair to Hiroki Sakai, he did go and apologise to the Adelaide fans at the end of the game, to the Red Army. I don't know if you saw a photo of that. All class from the Japanese international. Eze. Couldn't quite scrounge the cross to Piper. And Victory again. They do look dangerous in these areas. Goes down too softly. According to Nathan Shakespeare. Keegan Jelassic.
Well, I'm telling you right now, Melbourne Victory cannot wait to get to the sheds. We've got 10 minutes here to hang on. Look at those passes, and it's not about the score being at 0-0. When you're out there and a team is knocking the ball around you.
Piper, early ball's on here. Oh, a slip from Miranda. There was no one else following through. He did find that early delivery. It was just a little too close to the Victory captain. Well, 15-20 minutes into this game, you thought, okay, you can give Victory a sleepy start here. But we're now almost 36 minutes into this game, and Wellington are dominating it. This was not what you expected coming in here. So you just wonder whether Arthur Dillis is going to have to change something at half-time. I feel like the next 9 or so minutes are going to go a long way to determining that. As we touched on, Victory, so many threats as Hughes with the header. Sheridan goes up. Mata, got to be careful in these situations. Davidson, strong header up over the top of Piper. Oh, and Shawski under some pressure of Eze. Who can bring the ball under control? It's Wellington again. Nagasawa pokes it over the top. Eze may have just run out of legs for a moment. Nazarene. Tuiloma and Rufa. Well, we've always known this season Wellington, they can play football. Just been that question about defensive solidity. Could they add that to their game? Well, here's a test of it right now. After turning the ball over. Lupale. Again, gifted back to Victory. So a couple of turnovers from Wellington. But it's Sheridan with a toe in. And Piper. Hustling again, but it's John Rowe. Again, it's Wellington just gifting it back after they seem to have snuffed out the danger. Lino for Lupale, and it's crossed the byline. So the frustration continues here at Amy Park for Melbourne Victory.
Yeah, the ball retention well below par. And I think when you're unsettled from another side, you've got to take care of the ball once you do win it back. And it's just that decision making. There were a couple of moments there for Victory where they thought, okay, we'll just keep it simple, make Wellington come out of their shell. But they've defended really well through the middle, which is where Juan Mata operates. It's where Genre operates. So they do really well at getting back into their shape, Wellington Phoenix, and making it hard to keep that ball. But they have to be a little bit more patient.
Valadon just pokes it over the top. Clearance from Hughes. That's into a dangerous area, but Sheridan towards Eze. And Piper on the turn. And Davidson got himself in the way. but not without giving away the foul.
Yeah, that's a really difficult one for the referee to call, because there's not enough time there for Jason Davidson to really get out of the way. He turned his back expecting that contact, and yes, it's a foul on Piper. It's a really difficult one as a defender, because once they knock the ball past you, yeah, you've got to make that decision.
We say a really smart foul, that one from Davidson. Doesn't go into the book either. So it is a set piece though for Wellington. We've got the left-hand right-footed option. More so suited to Nagasawa, but maybe they'll change things up with Najere. It is Nagasawa up towards Tuiloma, and got a good bit of purchase on that header.
It's a really good ball in that from Kazuki Nagasawa. Good shape on it, and that's up against Roderick Miranda as well. It wasn't really on the right side of him to begin with, but Tuiloma, we know he can score goals from set pieces.
Scored one against Western Sydney in February's first goal in the A-League. Look at that, 7 shots at goal to 1 to begin this game. But as we've underlined in this first half, you can have all the chances, you can have all the pressure, you can be dominating a match, but you've got to find the end product. And these are the championship minutes right before half-time. Can someone find a goal to put themselves in front? John Rowe from distance, and it bounced awkwardly in that sunlight. That wouldn't have been easy for Oluwayemi. Now another chance here for Valadon, and Valadon's shooting, and that is much more simple for the English gloveman.
Yeah, 2 really good saves from Josh Oluwayemi. That's really, really handy, and this one's a little bit more straightforward. Doesn't bounce in front of him, but that's much better from Melbourne Victory. They love to score from outside the box.
Rufer, but that for some technique. And Miranda, well, Piper will say there wasn't much in it. But that's experience from the Portuguese defender.
Well, that's all it takes for somebody to go down in that area.
Well, you just got to not put your hands anywhere near it, do you, in that situation?
It's so hard because you're running at full pace, and what Miranda did well there is just slow it down a little bit, knowing there's contact there. And it's impossible for Piper not to touch him, so textbook defending.
You don't achieve what he has through his career without being a wily old veteran. Roderick Miranda affords his chance here for Melbourne Victory and Virgos. Ooh. Now, will this be a corner? Yes, it will be. Roof is saying I was given a nudge, sir. He's not going to listen to his pleas.
This is where good teams go and score goals. When they're not been playing well just before half-time, to change the energy around the stadium.
And maybe there is a little bit more momentum for Victory at the moment. Matza towards Oluwayemi. They get in each other's ways. He collected Tuiloma as well. He gets back to his feet. Sean Rowe was urged to shoot, but it just wouldn't sit for him. And now Edwards to Eze. And asking Nagasawa to chase that down. And that was mission impossible. Just see the man in the background there of Chris Greenacre, Luke Brooks-Smith. Well, set up the winning goal against Brisbane. He could be the man with the Midas touch. Talk about impact players off the bench. We know it's a heavy pass. And it's just not falling the way. Melbourne Victory. We saw what Nestor Urinkunda, the impact he had off the bench here on Tuesday night. I tell you what, Luke Brooks-Smith, he is one for the future. He's one for now, but also the future. You just wonder how good he'll be for Wellington, and he is still on the bench.
Yeah, hasn't started a game this season, but you look at that front line, who are you going to take out right now? And yeah, would love to see him get more minutes. There he is, the youngster. Such a young talent, had a great impact last year. Some big games, and I'm sure we'll see him later on.
Time added on, 4 minutes.
So 4 minutes of added time, of which about 20 seconds has elapsed, so more than enough time here for someone to find the goal. That pass from Edwards, it's a dangerous one. Victory have numbers forward. Mata. And Tuiloma with the clearance. Eze again towards Nagasawa. Oh, Jelassic. Oh, here we go. Keegan's turning it on. And Rufa decides a rugby tackle is the best way to stop Keegan's momentum.
Yeah, that ball looked as though it was going out, and a lovely piece of skill nutmeg from Jelassic, and then he retains possession and then says, okay, you're going to have to foul me to stop this play. And Rufa made sure that that was a foul and a half.
Well, if you've just joined us, stoppage time in the first half. Wellington, a really dominant start to this match. Victory of themselves more on the ball in the last 5 to 10 minutes. They did lose Sebastian Esposito about 20 minutes into this game after a head knock in the opening minutes, and he started to seem to get blurred vision. And he was forced off. Jason Davidson playing at centre back. There's the concussion sub. So they've still got 5 more changes up their sleeve. Melbourne Victory. It's a hard one to bring down. Now it's the Wellington captain, Foster Sheridan. Nagasawa has his hand up at the back post. A lovely touch from Nazarene to Piper. He fashioned across Rami Nazarene. He's got silky footwork, but Valadon is able to get his body in the right position. Tuiloma's coming back with interest. Oh, through the legs of Jean Rowe. Piper! Oh, what a chance! What a chance! Seconds before the break. And that would have been a well-deserved goal for the Knicks.
It's incredible. They've got feet made out of gold this afternoon. That little scoop was exquisite from Nazarene. And just that finish from Piper, just couldn't wrap his foot around it and keep it down inside the post. But how many times have we seen that in this game so far? Possession kept in tight areas and creating great opportunities. There's another one.
Well, Nazarene is having a season, isn't he? I think we've been waiting for a while. I mean, Nazarene got so many great plaudits out of his time as a young player at Melbourne City. Well, I'll tell you what, he's had an impressive first half here at Amy Park. Very nearly set up the opening goal right on the stroke of half-time. A shake of the head from Roderick Miranda. It has been that kind of half from Melbourne Victory. I want to put that one in the bin as soon as possible and come out and try and find a victory here at home. Half-time, Melbourne Victory 0, Wellington Phoenix 0. Well, we're going to take a quick break and the half-time show is next.
Hungry Jack's is bringing home the bacon. The OG Baconator. Flame-grilled Aussie beef. Sizzling bacon. On bacon. On bacon. On more bacon. The Baconator range. The burgers are better at Hungry Jack's.
At Coles, we're on a mission to help inspire Aussie kids to eat better and to get active too. Isn't that right, Jeremy?
Sure is.
Which is why we're proudly sponsoring kids' sports programs all over the country, like Coles Mini Roos. It's a great way to get kids moving and to support local communities.
See you, Jeremy.
Coles, proudly supporting Mini Roos.
Do you think we need more space?
Yeah, we could use a bigger home. We could talk to someone.
That.
Someone.
Hi, I'm Kate, your CommBank home lending specialist.
Fast approval, no doubt. With CommBank, you can.
The Isuzu MU-X is built for our Australian way of life. Enough power to tow up to 3.5 tons. Enough space for the whole team. And enough style and tech made for wherever life takes you. Love how you live in the Isuzu MU-X.
Say hello to the Ninja Slushie, the easy, convenient way to make frozen drinks at home. No ice means no watered-down drinks. No blending means smooth, perfect texture. Just pour, slush, and enjoy. 5 one-touch programs for any drink you want. Transform almost anything. Enjoy perfect results every time. You can make it with the Ninja Slushie.
One day, you'll all stare death in the face as she stares back.
Move.
Nobody survives by playing it safe.
It's time to fight.
Star Trek Starfleet Academy on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Amy Park, where Melbourne Victory are hosting the Wellington Phoenix. And so far, it's been the visitors who have had the best of the action and most of the possession. The Victory fans want to see a bit more from Mata. He hasn't been at his influential best, and he's been struggling with a little bit of an elbow injury. Not the only issue for the Victory as we enter the Hungry Jacks halftime show. Plenty to discuss as we approach the second half, but plenty more to come on the screens of 10 and Paramount Plus. The Under-20 Women's Asian Cup, you can catch the Aussies in action tonight, and then again against Japan on Wednesday. And then there is a huge A-League battle looming on Tuesday, the game in hand for City and the Mariners. That is going to have a big say in who finishes up in the top 6. I'm sure most of the fans in the stands here at Amy Park today will be cheering on the team in yellow 100%. In that one up and hoping City remain outside the top 6. Tim Morgan, Archie Thompson here. As we mentioned, it's Knicks nil, Victory nil so far. Archie, who do you think will be the happier of the two teams?
Well, obviously Wellington, I think they started the brightest, and you've got to remember both of these teams have got a lot to play for, because for Melbourne Victory, that second spot's not out of sight. And, you know, with football, anything could happen. They could probably potentially see themselves go top. But for Wellington, they're just outside the 6. They want to keep performing like they have, and the way that they've defended but also attacked has been really impressive that first half. Yeah, well, let's have a look at the Harvey Norman highlights now. And Arch, as you mentioned, it will be Victory that will be more frustrated at the break. I reckon there's a pretty big back coming because most of the chances have gone the way of the Phoenix. Well, they have, and Corbin Piper, I mean, he's been like an animal. I think Eric Bartloo mentioned in the commentary, he's an absolute animal. And also too, when you've got Eze, both of them harassing the defence, they make great forward runs, and here's a great opportunity. I mean, you could see with Esposito, I mean, he had his arm around his neck basically, and he's still been strong enough to be able to get a shot off. But the way that Wellington have also dominated possession. They're comfortable. They can turn it up when they need to. I like the runs of Corbin Piper around the shoulders, and they just seem to be able to find that space. And Melbourne Victory have found it very difficult to be able to kind of keep them contained.
Yeah, on the flip side of that, because we've seen Arthur Dillis, we've seen Andrew Durante on the Victory bench just get more and more frustrated as this half goes on. What about their defending? Have they been a little bit disorganised, do you feel, at times?
Well, I think they're not close enough to the attackers. I mean, there's so many times that's been able to get a turn, and Nazarene, I mean, that's beautiful football, the way that he scooped that over. And, you know, Piper, again, ever so dangerous. Not too much he could do with that. I'm actually impressed with the contact that he had, but I just don't think they're close enough. When the ball goes out, they don't seem to be in unison when they close down. I could see that the manager was getting frustrated with that. There's a lot that needs to be talked about in that Melbourne Victory dressing room for sure.
Yeah, and I imagine there will be at half-time, and you can have a look at the stats there in possession. Well and truly weighted the way of Wellington. They've had the fair share of the shots, and as we just saw in the Harvey Norman highlights there, they've certainly had the best chances on goal arch. What do you think Arthur Dillis would be saying to his side in the dressing rooms at the moment?
Well, I think they need to put a bit more pressure on the ball. For Wellington, they're a lot more comfortable to be able to just to pick the pass, hold possession. You'd probably like to see Melbourne Victory just get a little bit up in their face, and when they do get possession, don't try to force it. I think there's been a number of times where they've won the ball back and they're trying to get that killer pass where they could probably take a lesson from Wellington, where just be a little bit more patient, try to get the wide players on the ball a little bit more, maybe try to get the Wellington defence out of line, but the way that they've defended, it's been very, very hard, very disciplined in their blocks. And like Eric Pardaloo said, I like the way they've blocked up that middle of the park, where we're used to seeing Juan Mata get the ball in between the lines, turn, then you look to see the wide players make that penetrating run. It hasn't happened. Just be a little bit patient and then see where the gaps start to open up.
Well, let's have a look now at the Paramount Plus player index, and it's all Wellington at the top. Rufa, Oloami, Tuoloma, and then Genro in there for Victory, and then Sheridan round out the top five, but hard to split them at this stage. Obviously, still 0-0 in this one. The other big talking point, of course, from this first half was the concussion injury to Esposito.
Yeah.
What did you make of it all? Because obviously he tried to play on, it appeared to get worse, and then he had to come off.
Well, I wondered if maybe the doctors had seen this footage, because we saw it when the eyes rolled. We immediately thought, okay, he's knocked out. And you know, as a player, you probably don't know. I mean, I don't know. I've never had a concussion in my playing days, but then you don't know if you've actually maybe knocked out or whatever, and then you go and play, and then all of a sudden I could just see that he was a little bit off the beat, you know, and then obviously he gets a little bit dizzy. I think that maybe there is someone that needs to be watching the footage and saying, okay, there's something serious that just happened then.
Yeah, do you think it's harder, you know, in a game like football where obviously, say if it's AFL, you can put them on the bench and you can assess them, and you've still got 18 v 18.
Yeah.
It's so hard for football to deal with. Obviously, you've got the duty of care for the player, but then the longer you take them off the field, you're down a man. I don't know how you fix that, but it's obviously something you've got to work with football.
Yeah, well, you make a good point there. It actually might be where we let someone come on and maybe play in that position. Hey, we're starting to break some ground. we're starting to rewrite the rule books here, and that might be a good one where a substitute could come on for the meantime, just until a player can get assessed whether he's okay to come back on. But then in saying that, if the player comes back, player's on there doing well, you don't want him to come off.
We could be opening an absolute can of worms.
Mate, I think it's a good one,
absolute can of worms. Let's have a look at the ladder as it stands. And you mentioned Victory well and truly in the hunt for the top two if they can win the day. They're in the hunt for the title, given they play Auckland and Newcastle in the run home. And MacArthur holding on to that sixth position at the moment, but there is a big chasing pack behind them. We mentioned Tuesday's game. City, Mariners, they're going to try and close the gap on the top six. And then Wellington here, big opportunity for them to move right in this and make sure under Chris Greenacre they continue their final push.
Well, they just need to keep discipline in the second half. But sometimes as a player, when you're in a position like Melbourne Victory, you're comfortable, you're confident. There's 7 games where you haven't lost and you feel like you can just come out here and roll teams over. You still got to be able to put the effort in. And I think that's what maybe the manager was a little bit, Arthur Dillis was a little bit frustrated with, is that you just can't turn up when a team like Wellington still got a lot on the line and Melbourne Victory got a lot on the line. You're not going to just where your position is going to win the match. You still need the effort, you still need to be precise with your passes, and I reckon in that change rooms, I'd hate to be in there, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's been the Hungry Jacks halftime show. Plenty to play for in the second half. It's coming up just after the break.
Colours have been hoisted, allegiance sworn, battle lines drawn. This is football at its most passionate. It's the Sydney Derby. Again, it falls to Quoll. It's Derby delight for the red and black. The Western Sydney Wanderers against Sydney FC. Quintal, he's got his second. Revenge for Sydney FC with interest.
Hungry Jack's is bringing home the bacon. The OG Baconator. Flame-grilled Aussie beef. Sizzling bacon. On bacon. On bacon. On more bacon. The Baconator range. The burgers are better at Hungry Jack's.
At Coles, we're on a mission to help inspire Aussie kids to eat better and to get active too. Isn't that right, Jeremy?
Sure is.
Which is why we're proudly sponsoring kids' sports programs all over the country, like Coles Mini Roos. It's a great way to get kids moving and to support local communities.
Say, Jeremy.
Coles, proudly supporting Mini Roos.
In my business, it's always on. Early starts, late finishes. When I'm not looking after customers, I'm taking care of the business. The stuff that can't wait. Paying my team. Paying suppliers. So it's good to know I always have the right tools to keep things under control. Business tools on tap? No doubt. With CommBank, you can.
Say hello to the Ninja Slushie, the easy, convenient way to make frozen drinks at home. No ice means no watered-down drinks. No blending means smooth, perfect texture. Just pour, slush and enjoy. You can make it with the Ninja Slushie.
The Isuzu MU-X is made for the teams of Australia. And we're so proud to be the official automotive partner of the CommBank Matildas. We're here to help them go their own way against the best in the world. Just as we'll help you and your team get to wherever you're going. Go your own way with the Isuzu MU-X and go the CommBank Matildas.
You need to see it, Stace. Just once.
You married a city mouse, honey. I never came because I thought I'd be bored. That's a snake.
Did they sting you? Is it bad?
I have a very small window to beat this. And that's what I'm gonna do.
The Madison, new series, now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Things are heating up, that's for sure. We found this opportunity and we're working for it. My man.
Tulsa Kid, all episodes now streaming on Paramount Plus.
Welcome back to Amy Park and Melbourne victory. No surprises. They are ringing the changes. Matt has got that elbow bandaged up, and it will be Nduka who is coming into the game for Nikos Virgos. Virgos coming in here, he'd scored 5 in 5 against the Knicks, but it had been a really tough first half, not just for him, but for all of the Melbourne victory players. So Arthur Dillis has gone straight to his bench, knowing the importance of this one. A win here in Melbourne victory can all but secure a final spot, but even more important to that, they would go a step closer to securing a top 4 spot, which would ensure them a home final. Corbin Piper has made life difficult, so close to scoring in 3 straight matches for the first time in his A-League career. But we know what happened last time. Melbourne victory were here at Amy Park. They were down 1-0 at half-time, and in the second half, they came out and they pulverised the Mariners. They put 4 past them in a comprehensive second half display. So underway second half here at Amy Park. It's must-win time for Wellington. A draw, probably not enough for them, Eric Partaloo, but for Melbourne Victory, similar kind of story, but those last 2 matches at home, 6 second half goals, so they will believe.
Well, both of these sides are much better scoring-wise in the second half, and it's just about matching that intensity, I think, for the home side. And they've started off well here, trying to retain the ball, and they funneled extremely well, Wellington Phoenix, in that first half. They did not allow the midfield to get started, which is obviously a strong point for them. But this game, you can say all that, still lacking a goal, and maybe just 1 goal will go and win this game.
So Mata hands it off for Valupale. And the second half, well, hasn't started much better for Victory. So Charles Nduka, 3 goals in his last 6. The Japanese import came in mid-season. He's been playing in the J2, J3 league the last couple of years with Kagoshima United. Eze off again. Piper has Nazarene free at the back post. He's looking for him. Nazarene slipped. Well, it had a lot of pace on it as well. And he stopped it, but then lost his footing.
It has looked a lot more slippery out there than other games, but you've got to get used to that. And you would have had that in the first half. But there's a difference now for Melbourne Victory, having Nduka running and pressing and trying to go and ask Wellington Phoenix to play that long pass early.
Nagasawa, he's been soaking up a number of fouls from Melbourne Victory in this game.
There was Miranda in the middle of the park, just getting his wires crossed. And watch this ball go through. Watch it bounce and bobble. There's a little bit of that on the surface still, but Piper still put in a really tasty ball there. And Nazarene perhaps had to use that right foot of his. Could have controlled it. Rollins bringing down Nagasawa.
Piper, every time you look up, it's Corbin Piper bustling forward and winning another corner.
That looks like the most impossible touch from Corbin Piper. I still don't know how he managed to get to that ball. He's that sort of awkward character that just makes you think you're going to get close to him, and all of a sudden, bang, he's away. It's great stuff.
Well, if you use the app FotMob, I can tell you, if you see Corbin Piper's profile photo, you'll think, is that the same person? If you're looking at how Wellington are shaping up for this one, he is a behemoth now. He was probably about 18, I reckon, 17 or 18 when that photo was taken. Smaller little kid. Well, I'll tell you what, look at him. He will knock over defenders left, right and centre.
And also the big thing about having him in that front line, everyone feeds off that. Everybody behind Corbin Piper in a white shirt says, if my striker is going and fighting and doing all that, I have to as well. And Melbourne Victory, they need to get on the same page.
There's another moment to add to the catalogue of disappointment for Melbourne Victory today. Apology from Davidson. The Dillis Ponders. It was a problem for them earlier in the season. They weren't scoring. It hasn't been a problem for them, especially the last 7 matches, but they've had moments this season. They've got into a run and they haven't been able to score. Against the Mariners in February. Western Sydney Wanderers here in January. They were beaten 1-0 by struggling Western Sydney. So when they get frustrated, they can get down on themselves. Victory.
Needs to wear sunglasses. for the next game. Ifeanyi Eze.
I've seen Goggles out on the field before. A bit of a finger in the eye. So, how do they make life difficult here? Wachowski, remembering, just in his first A-League season, senior debut a few years ago with the Mariners, but first A-League season, 12th match for Melbourne Victory. Pressure rising here at the back end of the season. Needs to command that area here. Piper and Tuiloma the targets, and it goes behind everyone, but it has taken a touch on the way through.
Yeah, it is a big game for Jack Wachowski. He's going to have to deal with another corner coming in. You see that ball possibly just taking a piece of Nduka and Jelassic at the same time.
Towards the near post, it's a disappointing delivery, especially when they've got men in the box who will feast on quality service. Slipped around the corner. Volupale. The angle is a tough one. The early delivery, though, was a smart idea, but so too was the defensive intervention from Sheridan. He hasn't missed a trick coming in for Tim Payne this afternoon. Footwork from Lino. Again, it's Sheridan snuffing him out. Valadon with some space to work in. Cross. Into the waiting arms of Oluwayemi.
Yeah, it's good defending in the end from the away side. Melbourne Victory obviously had a plan in that half-time team talk to go and assert their authority and also to keep the ball a little bit more, but Miranda's given away at least 2 or 3 fouls already on Eze in this second half. He's going to have to be careful.
And Eze making that kind of gesticulation of the referee, saying it's been a few from Miranda now. You could see Arthur Dillis on the sideline. He thought quite the opposite. He thought that shouldn't have been a free kick. Nazarene had to be strong there. And then compounds his mistake. And look at Dillis. He wants them to keep playing and moving it quickly, but Wellington is stalling their momentum.
Yeah, it's about getting the ball down and playing quickly as they have done here. It just makes you play on the front foot and create that energy. If you haven't got that energy matched, you've got to go and try and create it somehow. So passing and moving and trying to play positive passes and playing quickly. Just ramp up that tempo. They are the home side.
Turnover in midfield again. Rentre and Rufa not allowing the ball to pass through, and Volupale, out comes the yellow card for him.
2 more examples there of Wellington Phoenix and how well they are winning that ball in midfield. Paulo Rentre just looked up and didn't have something in front of him, but the frustration continues to grow. They're not able to play through the middle.
Well, I just wonder partly whether that was frustration, not with the fact the foul was called, the fact that why am I tracking back to do this work? Where is the midfield? And it's Volupale again. There's another slip. And Volupale, he's the beneficiary as Sheridan goes to ground. Jelassic just beyond the outstretch of his boots, and flag comes up for offside.
There's a lot of players just slipping at that opportune moment.
It's the changing of the seasons, isn't it? And there's a lot more traffic on this surface now. A bit cooler conditions in Melbourne. Making life really difficult for the players. Lena urged to shoot, and that he does.
Juan Mata applauding, understands the moment, but they need more. They need more of this Melbourne Victory. It's about getting the ball and getting players into shooting and scoring positions. It didn't happen enough in that first half.
Well, Eric, intriguing round of football. Newcastle, loss. Auckland, draw. Victory, a draw at the moment. Adelaide, a draw. Sydney, a draw. So only Macarthur, a win of any side inside the top 6, and that took them into the 6. So it just shows you how tight things are getting for the top 6, and those sides just on the cusp do not rule them out. Melbourne City and the Mariners, they play on Tuesday. Wellington Phoenix, they're also just sitting on the cusp. 3 points today for Wellington, and they go within a point of the Bulls. And remember, they play the Bulls in the last round, so that means it would be still in their hands if they can keep pace with the Bulls until that final match of the season. That's all they have to do. Jean Rowe, nice footwork, but Tuiloma got himself in the way. Probably similar to that Davidson foul in the first half, and Nathan Shakespeare's having none of it.
Denny John Rowe, that's more like it. Creating the space, playing the nutmeg if you can. Past Rufer, past the other. I actually thought maybe he didn't release this quick enough. Tuiloma came out and made sure he was going no further. Juan Mata on the ball now for Victory.
Victory fashion something. Mata. Again, it's Wellington, a defensive header. Shawski, the latest player to slip over. Moving forward to Nduka. He puts out his arms in frustration. Mata, the conductor. Jean Rowe to dink it up. Goes with the defensive header. Nagasawa in the direction of Eze. They're not quite able to control this match as they were in the first. Wellington Phoenix. Victory are a little sharper and more composed. Well, until that moment.
But they've understood now that they need to interact more with their front line, and it's not about just hitting it over the top. Juan Mata is peeling off into space. You can see that possession still moving in their direction now, so a definite shift in the game, yes. Scoreline remains the same.
Well, quite the opposite. Possession in the second half, it's been flipped. And that will please Arthur Dillis, the fact they're having more control of the ball. And as we said for Wellington in the first half, you have to create something and finish it off. In a round where there's been so many draws, 3 points become even more vital. Now that's a sore one for Tuiloma. And the physio doctor being called onto the field now.
I'm not sure he landed on that head as that ball went up. Came over the top, and yeah, it's still not pleasant to land on the shoulder. He's a big unit, Tuiloma. Charles Nduka will have a nice afternoon.
Well, he'll be looking to get on the end of one of Matta's deliveries. He's the man, isn't he, that can unlock this Melbourne Victory side. 85 chances he's created this season, the most of any player in the competition. 13 assists, 5 goals as well. And in a match where they just need a goal, it doesn't matter where it comes from. They just need to find it from somewhere.
Just his availability has been a strong point for them. And, you know, teams can have a player like Juan Mata, but you've got to have the coach to implement that into the team. You can't just sign Juan Mata and the rest takes care of itself.
So Kelly Heald comes on. He's going to play at left back, so this gives him a bit more height. Edwards has replaced, has been a favourite of Chris Greenacre's, Dan Edwards. But maybe just feeling a little fatigue, wants to change it up with a bit more height and more damaging from set pieces. So here he comes, Lucas Kelly here with the delivery. First impact, that would have been Rufer. Appeals for handball. Heeded by the referee. Almost 2 metres tall, 198 centimetres, Lucas Kelly Heald.
It is fascinating to see the position that he plays, but he is very good at it. You can see already getting forward, whipping in those crosses, and he hasn't started a lot of football this season. I think last year he did.
Yeah, 11 starts out of now 20 appearances, so half the season. He was favoured more so earlier in the campaign by Giancarlo Italiano, and did score in the Australia Cup match against Perth, but never in the A-League men's. Maybe today could be the time for him. Is it? Probably the longest spell they've had in possession in this second half, Wellington. Which has been the increased pressure from Melbourne Victory. Matches for Wellington since they last won at Amy Park back in April 2017. Chris Greenacre and Des Buckingham were the co-coaches for Wellington on that occasion. Is it a sign on Easter Sunday? Nagasawa in towards Piper. It was closed down by Miranda. And Rufer, down he goes. Free kick in a very dangerous position here.
Alex Rufer, what a season he's having. First, he just sprayed that ball out. His technique's been amazing this afternoon, lifting his hip, playing things around the corner. And he did his midfield job really well here. Coming in, wasn't a lot in that from Valadon, to be honest, but he made it look good enough for the referee to give a free kick.
18 minutes off the bench against Chile. A historic win for the All Whites, first against South American opposition. That 4-1 win during the week. Now captaining Wellington Phoenix. And a shot here to open this match right up.
I think that's a little far out to have the crocodile from Jurassic.
Well, Phil Moss calls it the block of wood, I think, and others have called it the draft excluder. So we've got a whole range of... No, you got the crocodile. It's Nazarene straight into the wall. They didn't need the crocodile. Retre! Oh, is dipping too. Paolo Retre doesn't score many goals. That would have been significant.
Well, just the way he hit the ball. He dipped right at the last moment there. Throats in mouths from the Victory supporters behind the goal.
Little corner of yellow. It's all the way Emmy shirt, love it.
It's not quite the 80th minute yet, is it?
No, they've got to be in front too for the shirts to come off. Might be able to get themselves a tan today if their side can find the advantage in the next 15 minutes. So the delivery, another corner, and they've got Lucas Kelly-Heald, remember, out there. So another target for these set pieces. No doubt they were looking for an aerial assault as one of their old players in Reno Piscopo gets ready. 3 seasons at Wellington under Ufi Talay. Dorigo looking to return from injury as well. But they'll have to wait for this corner. Plenty of height on it. Wachowski comes out. Just gave too much time for the goalkeeper. And will this be a card? Wachowski certainly asking that question. So too the Victory fans. About that being a cynical foul, trying to delay the restart. And I can explain, I can understand their protestations.
Completely agree with you. It's delaying the restart to maybe because it wasn't so obvious. He just got himself in there in a smart and intelligent way, but I have seen them give him.
I'd love you to be my lawyer, Eric. I reckon you've got Isaac Hughes off there.
Well, you've got to stretch the rules as much as you can. If you're a player, it's exactly what you're going to try and achieve. And Melbourne Victory are masters at that.
Lino. Tuiloma. Would have liked it to a little more safety than this position here for Victory. Another corner coming this time for the home team.
Well, it's turning into the game of corners at the moment.
Victory have scored from 7 of them this campaign. It's tied on. Piper didn't decide to leave it for his goalkeeper. And here comes the changes for Melbourne Victory. So Louis Dorigo is going to make his first appearance since February, when he actually scored in the 3-2 win over Wellington. So Jurassic's afternoon is over. Matt Grimaldi, he will also come into the game. A couple of goals for the ex-Western United man this season. And Reno Piscopo, yet to score this year. It's been one of those frustrating seasons for Reno. Injuries have really slowed him down in recent years. So Dorigo, his 13th appearance of the season. Piscopo just his 8th.
Well, Piscopo's scored in every A-League season he's been a part of, except for this one. So no doubt he'll be looking to try and get something. He hasn't had a lot of starts, like you said, Ben, but his chances maybe now.
What a time. What a time to get some confidence in the month before finals. So Davidson in a position where we're more traditionally expecting to see him. Now he's getting back into position. Marta. Not on earth to shoot, and Tuiloma did enough. Piscopo, low delivery, and Nagasawa. There's the free kick.
If they're not defending in numbers in the midfield, they're taking it all the way back into their own 18-yard box, making sure that they get bodies in the way. Nagasawa has been throwing himself into Melbourne Victory's attack this afternoon. Arthur Dillis, he's run the changes in. It's probably a good time to do it, actually, because it may not have just been the game to try and play things on the ground through the middle. It's certainly one to look outside, and he's made those substitutions in those areas.
Still, no movement on the Wellington bench as of yet. Surely you would think Luke Brooks-Smith, or I should say Lucas Kelly-Heald, obviously the only change, but Luke Brooks-Smith is a man that they would look to, but at the moment it's Sander Khartoum, the Norwegian import. So Kelly Hill, we know he's got a long throw in him as well. How is that towards the penalty spot? And he'll earn his side a corner kick. A throw right down against the corner. Again, powered in that angle towards Tuiloma. It's valid on away. Would seem that Nazarene has run his race. That's what we're hearing. So Khartoum on for Nazarene, but still none of those attacking players for Wellington. The likes of a Armiento or a Brooke Smith. Grimaldi against the sideline, kept it in play. Valid on that pass just behind Piscopo, but he turned it into a decent one. Rawlins, Piscopo. Some footwork from Piscopo, just a little overhit the cross. Grimaldi. Lino let it run for Valadon.
Well, it's much better from Melbourne Victory, taking the game to the away side, and it's most of the substitutes getting involved. Valadon on the edge of the box, that was a really good look for him. Faced a goal, wanted to have a crack.
Hasn't scored an A-League goal. And that was such a great opportunity in match number 67. So, Sander Khartoum, who scored on his A-League debut back in January against Newcastle in that 4-1 defeat, comes in for Nazarene. So you can see second half a lot more even than what we saw in the first, where Wellington really mounted the case for a lead at least, and they could have had it right on the stroke of half-time. Grimaldi. Dangerous player, Matt Grimaldi, so central to Western United's success last season. And this season, he's grabbed a couple of goals, but more often than not, he's been coming from the bench. Rufer sends it the way of Kelly Hill. I reckon there might be some pickle juice that's just been thrown there. Bottle around the halfway line. Someone had a quick swig. Bit of cramp maybe for Nagasawa. Khartoum has the whistle.
Touch and go for the referee there. What to do? It's a really nice turn, and this is much better, having Khartoum in there as another midfield option for Wellington. So they probably feel at this stage that Melbourne Victory are getting a little foothold on the game, but no Eze really involved in this second half. He's been fouled a lot, but they need to get him on the ball, and Piper involved.
Khartoum driving forward, numbers forward here for the Knicks, and maybe he was looking for Nagasawa, and it was stopped in its tracks, the momentum and the pass by Eze. So often he's been the man with the Midas touch. You find Eze not on that occasion. And he had to take the safety first option.
He was certainly looking for that other option, just didn't have the legs maybe on the pass from Khartoum.
So Melbourne Victory keeping things moving. Tuiloma with a diving header. So question is, almost 15 minutes remaining in regulation time in this one. Are these two sides happy with a point, or are they going to be brave and go for all three, with the risk potentially of giving up a point. That's up the head of Hughes. And Rufer tried to go with the outside of the boot, dives in. Problems here for Rufer on Valadon. I love the reaction from Rufer as the referee brings out the yellow card.
Such a competitor, and hopefully hasn't stretched his hamstring a little bit too far in that tackle. I think he might have. But to answer your question, when challenges are going in like that from Wellington Phoenix, they won all three. We see the number 14 come across here, and he rolls over the top of the ball and then collects Geordie Valadon.
He's just wholehearted player, isn't he, Alex Rufer, the captain? Leads by example.
And to answer your question about whether or not Melbourne Victory want to go for this, how often do we see their backline in the frame of the camera? They aren't throwing everybody forward. So it's about trying to find that one chance and create something, but they're finding it a little bit difficult.
Well, they know 3 points can be the difference here between them playing a home final, potentially finishing in the top 2. You never know what could happen the final weeks of the season. They go within 2 points of Auckland and put a gap between the rest of those sides chasing for a spot in the top 4. Here's a strike from range from Piscopo. Now it's Eze who slips over. The prophet is Piscopo, and straight at Oluwayemi.
Well, you've got to like the idea from the substitute, Piscopo. He wants to score in this season of the A-League.
Second ball, the instruction from Arthur Dillis. He wants that energy, that intensity. It's been more so there from Victory in this second half after it was more so Wellington's first half, but still we sit on a knife's edge, 0-0 with 12.5 minutes of normal time remaining. I can see Luke Brooks-Smith getting ready on the bench for Wellington. So they're about to push the go button here to try and find the winner. It's where they found it against Brisbane. Grimaldi. And Nagasawa intervenes. Khartoum, heavy touch from Khartoum, an experienced player in that moment, not what they needed, Wellington. Piscopo. Lino. Davidson plays the 1-2. Piscopo sends it the way of Rawlins. Dorigo. Ultimate patience from Victory. Tuiloma away. Don't forget next week, Sydney Derby. A little bit more spice. Ufi Tale's feet under the desk there at Western Sydney. Won't be on the sideline, but I dare say he'll be in the stands watching, seeing who he's going to keep on there at Western Sydney next season, and Sydney fighting for a final spot. Grimaldi. And it's Rufer's clearance, but it's a corner here for Melbourne Victory.
Yeah, the team with the most corners in the competition get another one. And they need to make something count from here. They've had so many opportunities. And in a game like this, where they had to claw their way back into it, these are the chances.
So the corner headed away at the near post by Piper. Well, Wellington are about to slam their cards on the table here. But they don't want to be behind when they throw those substitutes on. Piscopo just wouldn't sit for it. Nudges it through for Miranda. Valadon. Mata. Dixons. Brush off the head of Sheridan. High fives all round from the Knicks young brigade there.
Matt Sheridan, he's been in the thick of the action. It's great positioning, and they needed help. Big Roderick Miranda was sniffing about, trying to find himself a goal.
Over 50 matches now in the A-League for Sheridan. Big task here, Holloway. I mean, that is a very high punch. It's not a long one. Khartoum hit the deck. And Wellington were away. It was well read by Dorigo. They're screening. Davidson gets there. Davidson crossing Mata. Didn't get any purchase on it. Khartoum was calm. Piper doesn't have much support. Wellington very keen to get their 3 subs onto the field.
Yeah, it's really interesting to watch this pattern of play they have, Wellington Phoenix, because when they want to keep their ball and keep their foot on the ball, they seem very comfortable, and then they're quick to get back in that defensive shape and defend, and that's what got them their success in the first half. If they can just find a little pattern like that for 5 minutes or so, they might be able to get another chance.
Sheridan pushing forward. Khartoum shut down by Dorigo. Victory break now. Piscopo saw himself winning that battle with Rufer from a speed perspective, but Rufer's strength wins out, and now it's Lino. Oh, no foul. Play on. Sheridan's ball, and Miranda has to clear it over. Well, Victory are furious. There was no foul there on Lino.
Well, there's been a lot of energy put into this second half. Sheridan getting forward, getting down the line, and they've got themselves another corner.
Well, Wellington have scored in this period of the match the last 2. They sealed it against Perth. They scored the winner against Brisbane. Khartoum was just running around the back of the goal there. I was just wondering whether he was trying to deceive Victory as this corner comes in. Tuiloma! Oh, what a chance! A free header. What was the Melbourne Victory defence doing there?
Oh, big Bill Tuiloma. He needs to score from there. It's a free header. There's no exceptions. That would have been the icing on the cake for Wellington Phoenix.
He almost had too much time. And it was because Rawlins, it seemed, got tangled up with Lino. So, Armiento into the game. Nagasawa, Piper, Retre. Their races a run. Look at this.
Just inexplicable, really, because that's the moment there where you go back with 3 points. The hoodoo's over. You can stop talking about it, and you can go and concentrate on the next game. Job done.
Well, there's still time. There is still time. So Armiento, who scored 5 times this season, career best season for him, he's into the game. Brooke Smith, who assisted the winner against Brisbane, and Raw Conchi as well. So, a goal kick for Wellington. They're laying it all on the table now. Arthur Dillis will be pleased with the improvement from Victory in the second half, but still, no end product. They haven't been held scoreless since the 1st of February, over 2 months ago. Just shows you the improvement for Wellington defensively as well, though. So they keep a clean sheet here. It would be 2 in their last 3. Look back the rest of the season, the only other clean sheet for them this campaign was that 3-0 win, and the 2-0 win against 3-0 against Brisbane, 2-0 against Sydney. So Piscopo, potential handball there from Hughes and Duca. Back comes Rufer, so Shakespeare was playing advantage. Rufer is in shock.
That's a really good decision from the referee to allow play to continue, and maybe that's just hit the hip. It doesn't look like the arm at all.
Yeah, it has.
I take it back.
But even then, the arm was in the natural position. It was by his side, as you would expect. So I reckon that's a tough one against Wellington.
Is that what he's called it back for? Because look where the ball is and where the incident occurred.
Well, this will be a talking point if Victory come up with something here. It's a tall wall. You got the almost 2-metre Kelly Heald in the way. But it's Piscopo and Mata. And Piscopo, to the experience of Mata, and the wall does its job. May well have hit Kelly Heald. And it bounces up for Oluwayemi. So the Paramount Plus player index has Alex Rufer at the top. Valid on there in third. Oluwayemi also in the top three. So it gives you an indication where this match has been played. 4 midfielders in there. A goalkeeper. A game of few chances. Tuiloma asking too much of a weary, is there? Piscopo. The cross, Kelly Heald himself in the crossing channel. So Wellington have made all of their changes. Victory have got 1 left. It'll be 6 for them, but because, of course, in the first half, that concussion sub with Esposito leaving the field and Davidson coming in. Dorigo. And in front of Rawlins, and just not the quality on the cross.
It's a big lesson, this, for Melbourne Victory, because they've got to find a way. They're a big club. As we see Santos taking the field, Juan Mata just couldn't really get himself in the game. That's a compliment to Wellington Phoenix and Alex Rufer and co in the middle. They need to find solutions out there by themselves. I don't think they've been able to do that in the 88 minutes we've seen. However, they just made a really smart substitution, somebody that can change the game. And that's all you need, is to get to this point and make something happen and take all 3 points.
5 goals for Santos this season after 4 last campaign. Is it? And in the middle, Khartoum at the back post, off the post and in! Oh, what a moment to strike for the Norwegian! Is there a more important goal for Wellington this season?
Well, the shirts are off from the Phoenix fans, and why wouldn't they be? They've huffed and they've puffed and they've blown the house down. What record in Melbourne, says the Wellington Phoenix on the Harvey Norman replay. It's about Eze getting a little moment of space and time, and the substitute Khartoum, who's been plying his trade overseas, gets his 2nd goal of the campaign, and he could not have hit that any sweeter. Great technique right into the posts. Wachowski can only watch. Snatch and grab in the second half for the Phoenix, but unbelievable viewing.
So, with just seconds remaining in normal time, Wellington Phoenix on the cusp of 3 straight wins, but a first win here at AAMI Park since 2017. I know Knicks fans will be saying, don't say it. Don't say it. There's still minutes remaining here.
I think because we have said it, and they've probably been saying it all week at training, talking about this, because that becomes a habit as well. And the only way to turn things around is to go and get the 3 points and change it all. And Chris Greenacre, if they get away with this, tails are up.
The cross, this would seal it. Kelly Heald is up 25 times. Since 2017, they've been here without a win. And Sander Khartoum has put them in front in the 89th minute. There's 5 minutes of stoppage time, and Victory have got to go for it. They have not lost in 2 months. 7 matches, Melbourne Victory. And all of a sudden, they might yet be pulled back into that top 6 fight between maybe 8 clubs. Mariners, City, you could say 9, with Wellington winning this one. City and the Mariners will duke it out on Tuesday to see who probably is eliminated in that little race. But Wellington are well and truly in it as it stands right now. So Brooke Smith gives it up. Santos, he's already scored against Wellington this season, takes them on. Sheridan closed the door on him. It's all hands to the pump here for the Knicks. Miranda's shot blocked. Valadon. And it's James. And the clearance away.
Before this game started, Melbourne Victory, along with Adelaide, the best home record. And here they are, sitting in 4th position. They had a chance, and they still do, to take something from this game, the home side.
So Piscopo's delivery. Now, just to clarify, Wellington with that change, James into the game, and they get that additional change as Victory use their concussion sub. So just clarifying, they're allowed to use that change as well. So 6 each. As the ball bounces up towards Brooke Smith. Brooke Smith to seal it. Oh, Wellington hands to heads. The 17-year-old could have ended the hoodoo there.
This is what he's capable of, getting all the Victory players in a tangle. Just needed the finish, and they've got to hang on now. Those sorts of opportunities are not going to come again.
Two minutes left. 2 minutes for Victory to pull it out of the fire. 2 minutes for Wellington to hang on to a famous victory. They don't have their Spanish maestro out there, so who can unpick Wellington? A chance to break here. Raw Conchi, Brooke Smith. Calmly back to Khartoum. The match winner at this stage. Down he goes. Not enough in it for Shakespeare to award the foul. Grimaldi just not on the same page there as Valadon, and Wellington every clearance being cheered by the corner of yellow down in the far corner, top right of screen, where the Wellington fans are stationed. In towards Oluwayemi. He's claimed it.
There's just been too much of that from Melbourne Victory. A little bit too direct, a little bit too...
And the whistle goes. It won't count. And Wellington fans know that that'll soak up a few more seconds.
There's been a couple of these instances. Just for Oluwayemi's sake, he was very lucky there, but that is the rule. and it does soak up a little bit of time. But Melbourne Victory from here, they were pinned back in that first half and they just couldn't find a way through. But hats off to Wellington Phoenix. They have defended like absolute warriors. Where has this come from? The last couple of weeks under Greenacre, this is a different side. And yes, you get that new game bounce.
The hoot is over. The Phoenix have risen on Easter Sunday to their first win at Amy Park since 2017. It's quite remarkable. 3 straight wins for the Phoenix for the first time in 3 years, and it's their Norwegian import, Sander Khartoum, 1 minute from time. He scores the winner for Chris Greenacre's side. Well, he's not just knocking on the door for that head coaching role, he's slamming on it. He was part of the coaching staff the last time Wellington won here in Melbourne back in 2017 along with Des Buckingham, and he's done it again, Chris Greenacre. It's quite a remarkable story. And for Melbourne Victory, well, they are left to ponder another match this season where they've lost 1-0 and they've been unable to score. Full time at Amy Park, Melbourne Victory 0, Wellington Phoenix 1. Well, Eric, you thought it was destined to end 0-0, but then enter the Norwegian Sander Khartoum with his second of the season.
Well, the better team won. It's as simple as that. On any given Sunday, if the Wellington Phoenix turn up like this, the midfield pairing of Rufer and Nagasawa and Rattray were brilliant in there. Khartoum scoring the winner, and Piper, that first half was excellent from him as well.
All right, well, let's hear from the player of the match.
Yes, Alex Rufer, the Wellington captain, is our Ninja player of the match. Alex, been a long time for this club winning at Amy Park. How's it feel?
Oh, what a feeling. You know, like you said, we've not won here for a long, long time, but, you know, more importantly, the context of our season and where things have been, and I'm so proud of the team.
3 on the trot. You must be really believing you can make the run and play finals this season.
Of course, look, that's something that's not changed. You know, we still know that we've got a lot better performances to come, so we've been improving, and you know, we were probably the best we've been in the last few games tonight.
What was the key today? Because you certainly were well worthy of the 3 points.
We really made sure that we came out with a strong intensity in the first half, and I think we were the better team. We didn't reward ourselves. I think in the second half, probably on balance of play, they may have had the share of possession, but look, so proud of the team and how hard we worked, and you know, very, very happy.
Alex, thanks so much for your time, and go and celebrate with the fans.
Awesome, thank you.
All right, stick with us. We're going to be chatting to both coaches just after the break.
Hungry Jack's is bringing home the bacon. The OG Baconator. Flame-grilled Aussie beef. Sizzling bacon. On bacon. On bacon. On more bacon. The Baconator range. The burgers are better at Hungry Jack's.
At Coles, we're on a mission to help inspire Aussie kids to eat better and to get active too. Isn't that right, Jeremy?
Sure is.
Which is why we're proudly sponsoring kids' sports programs all over the country, like Coles Mini Roos. It's a great way to get kids moving and to support local communities.
See you, Jeremy.
Coles, proudly supporting Mini Roos.
In my business, it's always on. So it's good to know I always have the right tools to keep things under control. Business tools on tap? No doubt. With CommBank, you can.
If you're born to go your own way, you know you need gear you can trust. You need proper grunt for getting through the tough stuff, real muscle for towing stuff, and solid reliability to fully disconnect and keep on going. Since 2008, the Isuzu D-Max has helped thousands of Aussies go their own way. And now, more than ever, adventure is everywhere. Go find yours with the Isuzu D-Max.
Say hello to the Ninja Slushie, the easy, convenient way to make frozen drinks at home. No ice means no watered-down drinks. No blending means smooth, perfect texture. Just pour, slush and enjoy. You can make it with the Ninja Slushie.
My name is Mickey Fox. I'm Sheriff of Edgewater. They're coming into our house to do us harm. We'll do whatever it takes to protect our people.
Your taste in man keeps me up at night.
I know everything there is to know about this town. I am a damn good sheriff.
Sheriff Country. Brand new episodes. Now streaming on Paramount Plus.
It seems the accident brought you so close to death that you gained the ability to see dead people.
Excuse me? Kate, it's me! No. Oh, no, you can't walk through stuff. That's a dead